Welcome to the DPF Doctor. My name is Darren Darling. I'm Head of Dealer Training and Technical Support for the DPF Doctor Network. We're here today just to tell you a little bit about the DPF Doctor, what the setup is all about and how we go about saving you money and correctly diagnosing and repairing your DPF problems. The DPF Doctor Network was set up by technicians and is run by technicians. We're all independents and based in various locations throughout the UK. So if you are visiting a DPF Doctor, you know that you're in safe hands. You've got a professional guy with the right equipment and has had the correct training to diagnose your problems. What we're going to do today is give you a brief overview of how we'll go about things to make sure that we're getting the job done right first time, and again save you money by giving you the correct diagnosis and carrying out a correct repair. What we've got here is one of our training vehicles, which is a 2016 model Ford Transit Connect 1.6 TDCi. So first thing we're going to do, like anything, is we're going to read off fault codes from the vehicle. Very, very important to understand that although a good diagnostics tool is essential to carry out this work, it is not going to tell you what is wrong with the vehicle. So initial diagnostics it's the first stage of your diagnostics. So it would be foolish to read it. It tells you the DPF's blocked and you continue with replacing or just cleaning the DPF. It's important that we look at the fault code. We'll go further into things, carry out various tests to make sure that we understand what has actually failed and what's causing your problem. So the first thing we'll do here is we go in with the correct diagnostics tool for the vehicle. All of our agents have various diagnostics platforms, so you can go in and read off any dealer codes and subcodes, etc. So we've determined here that we do have a DPF filter problem. So what we're going to do now is we've logged the fault code and we will now analyse some live data. That's the next thing we're going to do. So we need to determine, is the DPF actually blocked? Do we have sensor failure, or do we in fact have something else that's contributing to the DPF system not regenerating and not looking after itself properly? So next thing we're going to do is look at some live data. When monitoring live data and depending on what we see here, we'll now go out on road tests and we'll record some data which we can analyse when we come back. So, but for demonstration purposes, we've looked at some live data, we've read the fault codes, and then we're going to move on to some further checks. So we'll now go under the bonnet. Again, it's very, very important to determine, is the DPF blocked? Does the vehicle think the DPF's blocked, but it actually isn't? So we carry out some further tests using, again, depending on what the fault code is, depending on what we've seen, we'll determine what we'll go with next, whether we're using smoke testing equipment, we could be using an oscilloscope, we can measure exhaust back pressure, exhaust differential pressure, or we can also introduce pressure into the sensors to make sure that they are actually reading correctly. All this is done before we decide which is a correct repair and what we're going to do to fix the problem. So you see, we have various tools at our disposal. We'll use some diagnostics tools, some fairly basic tools that will introduce pressure, and we can monitor both voltages, waveforms and live data, build up a picture of what's going on with the vehicle, and then decide what we're going to do from there. Once we've determined that, if we do have a blocked DPF, we'll only clean the DPF if it does have excessive superaccumulation. If it's a sensor fault and a sensor replacement, relearn and a regeneration will work, then that would be the course of action that we will take. So we're only going to do what's necessary on the vehicle. So that's a brief overview of a very extended process, which usually can take up to an hour to do the initial assessment on the DPF. But this is what we do. We run through some various tests and if we decide it does need a clean, we will then carry on with our 3-stage on the vehicle cleaning process. We do have a no clean policy, but the success rate is at the moment around 97% of DPFs we can successfully clean. So if you have DPF problems and you're unsure where to turn, so make a note of our website, check us out, it's all interactive, you can punch in your location and find your nearest DPF.